Mr. Jan Boris Hansen, who is head of A320 Final Assembly Line 2 Airbus. Welcome, Jan. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And with us, we have eminent industry expert Nitesh Jain, who is founder and CEO of Be Singular from India. Nitesh, thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let me request Nitesh Jain to kindly deliver a keynote address and set up the context of this panel discussion. Nitesh, over to you.
Thank you and good morning to all of you. And thank you for joining today's session. It's a very different kind of atmosphere in which we meet. We are living in some troubled times. And what we see today is, we have COVID with us, but there are also several other issues which are facing humanity and the globe. We have several million, hundreds people who still live in rural areas. We have over 250 million children who are still not having proper education, and 3.2 billion people affected by land degradation. So as I said, the context for today's webinar, so I thought some other important points which are critical, and I'll tell you why later on. And if you look at vaccination or the vaccines, if you look at the different kind of issues in medication or healthcare which we had over past several years, meningitis, which took over 80 or 90 years, whooping cough, almost 40, 50 years, polio, same. And look at COVID. It's happened only like in 12 months we could get a vaccine ready. So hence, being an internal optimist, I always say that we are living in some very exciting times. 100 years before COVID vaccine could come out, we could have many more tragedies and deaths. And while we look at all these transformations of various technologies coming forth, so we set out at Be Singular to actually think that if we need to have this kind of exponential, innovation coming out, like COVID vaccine is an innovation and it's exponential, completely different kind of mindset which is existing in the youth of today, because they are the future for tomorrow for us, and they are going to be setting out a lot of new innovations which can help not only the planet but also humanity. Thousands of students, some parents, educators, to try and figure out whether they understand the sustainability aspect in the way they should, whether they understand it as deep as they should. And to our surprise, focus on sustainability still lacks, and which is needed for them to evolve as better citizens and to help humanity. We spoke to a lot of educators, and we tried to understand what is lacking in the education. So this is something which was taught by the team at Be Singular, and that's when we evolved something what we called a Be Singular method or Be Singular pedagogy. And we said that if technology is going to radically make a difference in the way we will live tomorrow, do we want the users of technology, or do we want more creators as young students who can actually come out, help us think through with fresh eyes and minds as to what could be a solution which can be completely different than what we ever thought. And so what we do at Be Singular is that everything we do in terms of our education on technology teach A or B or C kind of technology, but we teach a suite of exponential technologies, as we call. We help children get a mindset to be radically innovative. And the entire focus of the outcome which we provide is that they should be able to create real solutions and not just do a course, be done with it, get some certificate, and forget about it. So that's not what we actually. The single impact model actually rides on what great schools and education institutions actually teach. So there's a school learning, which is essential to some aspect, something we can always improve. What we have done kind of made integrated in a way that the school learning gets enhanced as well as the new skill sets get added to a child's mindset or armory, as we call it. What we did over that is put a layer of the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which are the goals which have been created by UN to make a big change on this planet. Because if the planet is not sustaining the way it should be, how can we have 10 billion people? We are about 7.2 or 7.3 billion people, and we'll be soon be a 10 billion people planet. How will all these people even survive on this planet? So this is what is essential, which we feel should be told to the students so that they become more social conscious. So this is what the B singular impact model is. And what is our framework? We actually give 3 sets opening their mind to make them understand what is the reality of today. Then add skill sets to it, which is basically giving them exponential technologies, training, coaching, whatever, and provide them with a tech set, which basically means that they have now the knowledge, they have the skills, and they can use this together and apply them and basically help them to get empowered and create a world of abundance. So this is what the B singular framework is. So, for a lot of people who are listening to this webinar, I don't know how much we actually look at numbers deeply, but the biggest change will be made by these technologies and several more which are coming out. And just 4 or 5 of them actually is a $15 trillion opportunity by 2030 itself. And over 2 billion jobs will be impacted because of the change of technology and the way they're applied. So which makes us think that if the next gen has to be a part of this game, if they have to thrive on these opportunities, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to have a mindset which is only limited to whatever they do in school, or can we add something more to their education? So this is what B Singular does in a nutshell. And I would now just closing thing which I'd like to add is that our model is very simple. It's a phygital model, which means we do offline, which is taking over the labs in schools and helping run the labs efficiently. We have an online mode. It's all virtual, where we teach the kids various technologies, and also a hybrid model where they can, it's on-demand kind of a education that, it's not push, but they can just come and learn and then move out and then again come and learn with us. So this is the model uniqueness, being flexible, agile, and adaptable. So that's it from my side, and I would now like Ravi to take it from here.
Nitesh, for highlighting the disruption which is happening across the globe, and also it is impacting the education sector. And let me now open this panel for discussion. And first point which I would request all our eminent speakers to discuss is that how is this technology disruption impacting the schools? Are the schools ready for it, or the parents are ready for it, and or the teachers are ready for it, and are the whole school regulatory ecosystem is actually ready for it, and what are the challenges and what are the opportunities? So a bit of a broad-based first question I'm taking, and I will request each of the speakers to respond in less than 3 minutes, although the topic is huge and we all can speak much longer, but because we have paucity of time, and so requesting our first speaker, Rashmi Ji from Delhi Private School, to respond on this first. Rashmi, over to you.
Good morning, and thank you for having me on this eminent panel. So, as you said, technology has really changed the scenario, particularly during the pandemic when schools had to quickly respond by going onto online mode or hybrid mode. This year, every year we have a theme of the year, and this year, the theme of the year is a retrospective of 2020, and it is adapt, acknowledge, and applaud. So I'd like to just focus on each of these briefly. So the first thing is the word adapt. So schools had to quickly become agile and use technology, reinforce their resources, training. The entire module of teaching had to change. So as the world adapted, schools adapted even more. And then the acknowledgement that the world had changed, and I will relate to your goals that you have, your sustainable goals. There was the acknowledgement that we have overconsumed our planet, and therefore we need to change. In schools, there is the acknowledgement also that it will never be the same. We have to use technology to go further and further, have skills not only in technology, but in also in soft skills of global understanding, etc. And the applaud part is that we have to give credit to those on a macro level, for example, scientists, frontline workers, schools, teachers, and at the micro level to students who actually were resilient and managed it. And every school did their best. Now, in our school, for example, we use the Samar technology. That means we move our students and teachers from substitution to modification, meaning we completely change to and read a definition. So we completely change students' way of thinking. So students are no longer thoughtful consumers of digital content, but also effective and collaborative creators of digital media. And they have to demonstrate competencies and communicate ideas through dynamic storytelling, data visualization, and content curation. And we have a lot of active learning through online polling, dynamic textbooks, immersive multimedia, flipped classrooms, video conferencing, etc. I could just go on. But since time is short, we also have netiquette. We tell our students, use your head, heart, and gut. Head to know how to manage digital content, heart to be empathetic, and gut to know when it's wrong. So as far as parents are concerned, they are on board, particularly in a country like UAE. But of course, they are worried about too much, like predators or eye strain or lack of physical exercise, etc. But we, as a school, we try to manage all of that. The hero of, if there was a hero of this time, it is technology. We understand that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashmi, and I love this theme of like retrospection and looking forward and learning from it. Thank you for highlighting that. And as you rightly said, the hero was technology. Of course, they have saved us. And let me move on to our next speaker, Dr. Hina Raj from Global Indian International School. Hina ji, your views on this topic.
Yeah, actually, if you look at like most of the important things in the world would have been accomplished by people who have kept on trying when there seemed no hope at all. And so today, when we talk about disruption, it is often used synonymously with both, I would say, innovation and transformation. So that's very important. These two terms we need to understand, and educators are not afraid. I don't think so. There are any bugbears. So we're not afraid to challenge conservative wisdom, and they don't disrupt things just for the sake of being disruptive. They do it to make things better. So disruption also has a design to it. And the national education policy, when we talk about NEP, has strengthened the schools to realign their vision and enabling students towards skill development. So that has been a great rescuer, in fact. And schools have enhanced collaboration through digital learning spaces. Now, when we talk about collaborative learning tools like Edmodo, a blogging site, or Google Classrooms, or creating a standalone website will help create a connection between the educators, the students, and the learning. Secondly, if you look at educators are fostering active discussions, so technology is really helping. Like sometimes you want to have students brainstorm an idea, share a learning experience, or just respond to a question. I would recommend trying either Padlet or Nearpod or Google Docs or Google Slides or breakout rooms or Zoom platforms. So I think technology is a great enhancer, and there are so many ways to use these collaborative tools where students to post their images or record audio, upload video, simply respond to the questions, building a digital portfolio, creating a multimedia presentation, or presenting their PBL, that is a project-based learning. And also universities offer opportunities for students, interns to learn cutting edge technology. So that is also one of the beautiful aspects, like a great way IT companies can help leverage technology in education is by setting up internship. So those programs with local universities, this would give students an opportunity to learn how to use technology in real life, and while getting better on job training from industry professionals. I would like to share my experience as how we aligned technology into our curriculum towards skill development. We at GIS schools have Department of Innovation and Entrepreneurship, GCI, Global Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. This department plays a major role in developing young innovators and creators who become a promise for the future generation by introducing new projects, technical terminologies, and we believe in training the students for the future rather than the present is being taken care, of course. So a well-planned curriculum enables us to engage students to innovate and explore the future under the guidance of GCI, where we have Space Trooper, Rocketry Club, Artificial Intelligence, and fundamental STEAM experiments. So innovative and creative thinking requires consistent practice, and we offer this through ideation wall, our digital ideation walls. We went to Padlet. Once we had our physical ideation wall, now we use Padlet wall. So every week a challenge is posed. Children come out with innovative solutions, and all responses are appreciated because we believe that every idea is important. So robotics is there to inspire students to make connections across several disciplines rather than learning in isolation. So nothing exists in isolation, and it combines mechanical, electronic, electrical, and programming skills. So we motivate our students to learn by creating their own robotic devices, and while the same would gain a deeper understanding of interdisciplinary fields of study. So this is how it's really an enhancer.
Fantastic, Dr. Hina. Good to know that your school actually has a whole department regarding innovation and entrepreneurship, which is very, very relevant and I think needed in this current scenario. And I think the whole panel discussion is around those issues of innovation and entrepreneurship. Thanks for this. Let me request our next speaker, Arogya Reddy, who is from the Ambassador School, Sharjah, to give your views on the subject briefly.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I think basically, if you ask me, technology is disrupting. Yes, it is to larger extent. And especially, I mean, if you look at the quantum computing, flying taxis, Mars missions, these are high-tech terms that most of us sometimes will be wondering what exactly is it. And more so with the students. However, UAE has been at a faster speed. I think in the schools in UAE have implemented in the last 1 year extensive programs to empower staff, students, and parents in integrating technology, and it has been in leaps and bounds. There is no doubt. But if you ask me about the whole education system, for example, as we follow CBSE, I'm not pretty sure, I'm not very confident that CBSE is prepared so well. Even today, we are struggling to conduct exams for grade 10 and 12. We are depending on the bureaucrats' advice to take exam or not, whereas the complete academic front is forgotten. No principal is involved in the decisions, or no teacher is involved in the decision. Okay, it's a sad state. Though after 1.5 years, if the board couldn't come up with a proctored exam that could be conducted, I mean, I think we really need to reflect, are we prepared for this technological advancement? That's, I mean, something that I would definitely look at it. Yes, the pandemic has accelerated what was inevitable, but it was a long delayed realization, I would say that. Whatever be the career, whether it is a software programmer, and everybody need not be a software programmer. Pandemic has pushed even the roadside vegetable vendor to be tech savvy. Look at the Paytm, Google Pay, all the apps that they use. Most of the rather illiterate people are using those technical things now. So technology has advanced so much. It has gone into every street, every corner of life. But education is at a slower pace, I would say. And especially looking at the context of India, the rural India, we are still struggling to provide them education for the long 1 year. Most of them haven't seen a book, or most of them haven't attended even an online class. And no state government has announced that the online classes would be conducted definitely, even today. So I think we have, yes, both a digital era which is advanced, a digital world which is yet to start somewhere. Equity is a problem. Accessibility is a problem. Yes, the 21st century skills that we speak about are available to the elite schools, if I call them, but not to every individual in the country or every child in the world. So SDG goals are definitely something that need to be considered. Yes, thinking skills, digital skills, life skills are crucial for every child, but I think there is a long way for us to go, especially in the education sector. I'm speaking from the CBSE and the Indian context, with due respect to the developed countries. Yes, parents are ready to accept the change because they have seen the tremendous change that has taken place during this pandemic. They know every aspect. They order everything online. During the lockdown, especially in the South, now most of the states are on lockdown. Everything is online. So they got used to it. And I'm pretty sure that the parents will welcome this advancement of technology even in the education sector. But I think it is the government, rather, I would say, because as I go through some of the OECD reports, I understand the developed countries have made it mandatory in their educational policies about integration of technology. And hopefully the NEP, which we speak highly about, will integrate and bring a change for Indian students as well. And that is my hope and expectation. Thank you, sir.
Arogya ji, I think a very relevant point about the urban and rural divide and developed countries and developing countries divide you have highlighted. And, let me move on to our next speaker, Ritesh Dhanak, who is the Chief Innovation and Digital Officer for GEMS Modern Academy, Dubai, to give our perspective. Ritesh.
So good morning. Thank you for having me here at this panel. Some great views from the elite panelists here just before me, and I would like to add to those views. So giving the context of where we are right now, I think the leadership of UAE has been probably indirectly preparing the student force in this area, where they even moved to Pearls and PISA, which were done using digital medium. And I think from early age, we have been getting used to technology integration into the classrooms. The change management, which is technology based, has always been part of our school development plan as the GEMS Modern Academy, but also as GEMS. I still remember vividly 5th of March 2020 was the first day on which my teachers started taking online classes. That was within a day or two when we got the news that we may enter a lockdown in UAE, and we had to start with the extra classes, which were for grade 10s and 12s. So Rashmi ma'am spoke about heroes throughout this entire pandemic season, where she said technology is a hero of the entire scenario. I agree to that. But I think bigger heroes are our teachers and students, who probably have learned the plane while flying it, so to say. They have entered this era, and they have been prepared by the leaders of their schools to embrace technology at a higher level. So that's something that has augured really well for the UAE region. Obviously, the context depends on different countries, and equity, as Dr. Reddy said, depends on different countries' scenarios. So it has been part of the plan as well. If I touch base on students, during this period, the student tech savviness has really come to the fore. We have had about 52 to 60 initiatives which have been done by students through digital mediums to develop skills of their junior peers. Now, this probably would not have been possible in a normal scenario where students are on a regular school time. We had weekend classes running by the students for the students, and they have become sort of entrepreneurs who have started their own clubs, which are now auguring well for the rest of the school community. When we look at the tools and technologies, yes, we are also a singular or a single most innovation center in UAE, certified by UAE at GEMS model. And we are already integrating technology, which is basically taking our students towards the skills which are needed for the future. As for the parents, if I have to touch upon parents, we have had BYOD since 2014. And the mindset has been setting into the parents since then that my child will need technology going forward to do well in his or her studies. So I think we have been preparing students quite well. And teachers, as I say, have been superheroes throughout this entire pandemic era. That's what I would like to add for this question.
Fantastic, Ritesh, and thanks for highlighting this role of teachers and students in these pandemic times, and who have adopted very, very fast. And let me request our expert from industry, Nitesh Jain, to give your views about how do you see in the last 2 years or so, how have the need for new skills have evolved in the schools, and what are the trends you are seeing?
Well, technology. Sorry.
Well, it's okay. I was asking Nitesh to speak first, and then I will come to you, Jan. Is that okay?
Sure. Sorry.
No worries at all. No worries.
So, sorry, excuse me. So, from my point of view, I mean, if we look at the entire, learning skills journey, I think if you compare just 3, 4, 5 years to now, there has been a dramatic shift in the entire learning skills needs which have evolved. Right? I can't remember, if there was a, such a big EdTech evolution which was ever even thought of. Even if we had asked somebody like 5. Imagine. And the shift, which is like, you have maybe 7 or 8 unicorns coming out in the last 2 or 3 years. Coursera, Udemy, you name it, and they're like huge in their own field. So I think to your first question, Ravi, that, what the COVID only accelerated this, right? As Ritesh was mentioning, it just accelerated it to a different degree. And this education model is completely disrupted, and it has altered forever. I don't think there's a reverse trend which is going to happen, that people will leave, the skills which they can get online to going back to classrooms and going to universities only can. Hugely different than what we saw earlier. Third is, just the need to learn something new. The interest levels have completely altered again. People never even had thought of some courses or certain skills which a norm or some kind of a course, which I also wonder, who ever thought it would have been existing right before. So there are completely new sets of learning, areas, avenues which have evolved. So that's a third big shift which I see. Another shift which I see now, and it will only accelerate to a different degree, is gamification and experiential learning, which we call. So you'll see a use of VR and AR in the education arena, which nobody ever thought. You'll have virtual classrooms, you'll attend anything you want from wherever you want, with whichever professor, teacher you want. It's going to completely disrupt what we are doing today. This is another shift which I see and will happen very, very soon. The fifth one is the realization, sheer realization of the impact of these technologies, which is going to be there. Now, McKinsey says that 60% of the current jobs will not even be there in the next 5 to 10 years. Parents, educators, all of us need to be aware that what is the shift happening? Are we getting ready for, making this huge change? 65-70% of kids who are in school will not see something which they're getting prepared for. So why are we preparing them for that? So this is another big shift which I see, which is just accelerating at an exponential pace. And what it all means for the primary and secondary education, a few things which are very simple. I mean, look at NEP, the need of NEP, even if that's come so late, the new education policy. Look at the Work for Tomorrow Act, which Germany just launched within the pandemic last year. Every single thing is pointing towards, are the youth which are even working in the industry today, are the students who are going to school and universities today, are they going
There is some issue in internet.
I think Nitesh sir, internet is disconnected. So Ravi sir, you continued. I will check it.
Okay, sure. Let me request our speaker, Jan Boris from Airbus, to give your perspective on the new skills which are emerging, which are needed in schools. And you are a part of the one of the biggest global mobility industries. So how are you seeing the situation evolving? Over to you.
Thank you for the question. Well, technology has always been a major influence on the development of the overall industry and, of course, our products as well. The implementation of composite material technology, of 3D printing and design, of virtual reality, robotics in the past decade even, they have enabled us to stay competitive and to increase the safety, the quality and the efficiency of our products and also our production facilities. What we're seeing now is an ongoing trend towards higher levels of digitalization and artificial intelligence disrupting the next level of the industry. So skills like data science, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence becoming more and more important for us, but unfortunately they are getting more and more difficult to find. On a different perspective, the industry has started the journey to decarbonize the industry. We have just kicked off the path to zero emissions. That will require the introduction of new technologies, of even further technologies, and of course the adaptation of existing ones. But what I consider as being one of the most important skills for our next generation of experts and leaders is the sustainability mindset. If we do not implement this as the very foundation and core, we will not get where we need to go with the industry and with many other industries as well. So a lot of modern new skill sets are important, but most importantly, I see the reset of the foundation of these skills. It needs to be taught how these skills, how these technologies should be used in order to keep our planet, our society in a sustainable mode for the next thousands of years.
Sorry. Thank you, Jan, for highlighting the whole reset needed in terms of what are the skills which are being taught. And Nitesh, we had actually lost you in the end of your, I think, intervention. So if you had like something to add on, please. Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. There was a disruption here, but anyway, no, I made my point. I said, so primary, secondary education has to be completely looked at from the points which I just mentioned, and with the view of this huge shifts, as you asked, Ravi, what are those huge shifts which I shared. I think there's a need to have a deeper look. So that's all I wanted to say.
Sure. Excellent point, Nitesh, and excellent point, Jan. And let me move on to the second question, which is about that. What will be the key areas of focus for you as an institution in the next 6 to 12 months, which will allow you to foster new ways to leverage technology to build skills and learning-based outcomes for students? So let me request this time Hina ji to start this intervention. Over to you, and requesting each panelist to speak less than 3 minutes, so that we are having the chance for all of us to speak. So Hina ji, over to you.
As tech education structured into today's curriculum, we believe that innovation is the calling card of the future. New ideas for innovation grow out of the minds of new generation. We provide the students with a platform of a wide range of resources and space to create and innovate their ideas into models, revamping their curriculum into reality. So in the new academic year 21-22, the Department of GCI, that is Global Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, launched the new learning strategy, the Master Program. Master, which stands for Math, Art, Science, Technology and Engineering. Research is a new phase to STEAM activities with 21st century learning strategy, providing a complete student-centric classroom with creativity, critical thinking, collaboration and communication to develop problem-solving skills from a very young age. So this master program is aligned with empathetic, like when we talk about design thinking. So empathetic innovation, which is empathy is the first step. So we talk about empathetic innovation to develop solutions that overcome the current and next generation's real life challenges through the master projects. And apart from learning to calculate the areas and perimeter of shapes, and students design constructed areas like robots using flat shape through the PET lab, like AI stimulator program, where they validated the area and perimeter of robots, designed and calculated. So this is how we are taking up, like students were trained on creating virtual tours using AI application called Poly, and through which there were 360-degree virtual tours of famous places and destinations around the globe. Or the Space Trooper and Rocketry Club introduced many activities like NASA Kids Club, or Night Sky of May was observed during the first week of STEAM class, or model making activity like Ingenuity, Mars helicopter, or the evolution of AI like chatbots, messenger, autocorrectors, dictionary option, translators. They have escalated communication skills amongst next generation. So this is how we have worked around into the curriculum.
Fantastic. That's a great step which you have taken here, Ji. And let me request Rashmi ji to please talk about your plans in the next 6 to 12 months in terms of adoption of new technology. Yeah.
We understand that schools are an ecosystem to nurture and cultivate what the world requires. And the world requires two things. One is, of course, intensive and extensive tech skills, and also citizenship, and global thinking, understanding global cultures, collaborating, and thinking beyond yourself. So taking a stand for what really matters to save the world. And towards this end, we continue to reinforce our resources in the school, both hardware, software, teacher training. I can tell you our biggest budget this year was for technology. We've added 3 more lines for the Wi-Fi in our school. So we intend that even when the students come back to, all the students come back to the campus, yet we will continue to leverage our technology background that we've been doing for so many years, but now, of course, very speedily. We have also introduced in middle school upwards many skill-based subjects such as AI, 3D printing, robotics, etc. Then we have STEAM labs through the primary and up, which focus on integrating technology into science, math, and art. We've modified our assessment patterns to incorporate, like, for example, really high-level MCQs proctored by tech software. We have a paperless school. We have design thinking, project-based learning, and e-portfolios, etc. This is sort of, it's already there, but now it takes center stage, so to speak. And extensive data analysis also, so that we can get immediate feedback, and we want to use all these skills to make our school more efficient, more modern, and prepare the students for a future which is uncertain.
Sure. Excellent points, Shmiji, and this emphasis on technology is so important. Good to see that you are adding more elements and components to it. Let me request Ritesh Dhanakji to speak about it.
So excellent views from Rashmi and Dr. Hina. Yes, we do. We also do design thinking from a very early age. We do a flavor of design thinking in terms of design for change. If you've heard of that institution in India, that is more suited to primary school. We move towards design thinking from idea model into the middle school, and then carry forward to grade 12 as well. We have STEAM labs, which are inculcating the technology such as AI, robotics, etc. For our students. In fact, we have specific programs from every age group where they are given a challenge in terms of solving a global or local issue in terms of SDGs that are in existence. Nitesh sir spoke about SDGs, and we do have that integrated into our curriculum where students are given a 3-month window. They don't have an examination during one of the terms. So we are already starting to see examination going off. Now, they don't do examination, they do project-based learning or challenge-based learning, where they actually use the skills which are part of their exponential technology learning, which they apply to solve global problems. 2 things I would want to carry on from here is, I would like schools and school leaders to be mindful of minimizing the learning loss that could happen when you go back to full normal. Yeah, so I would want the learning that teachers have taken on to, the mindset that has changed, to continue forward. In fact, teachers have been the real collaborators here, where they have learned from each other. We've had weekly sessions where teachers have shared what has worked best for them in the classrooms, online and in person. We are into mixed mode in Dubai now, when we have students at school and at home. So teachers are actually navigating through a lot of innovative ways in which they should handle students. So that should carry on, and we have to look towards personalized learning and capitalize on the power of the students' knowledge, where they have come up trumps in terms of even helping their teachers learn more.
Sure. Excellent inputs, Deshi, and let me request Arogya Reddy ji to talk about initiatives in the next 6 to 12 months. Please unmute Arogya.
Yes, yeah. Well, the initiatives in collaboration with our research and development wing of the organization, we have set in a lot of integration within the school system. Now, as Dr. Hina and Ms. Rashmi spoke about the different apps that they use, gaming skills is something critical that we have introduced, where students are being exposed in collaboration with the HP technologies. And the students have recently been collaborating with BBC to create, using this gaming as well as the digital media that they learn, to create videos on climate change. So those are the examples where children are being exposed. And I think we have ample opportunities for children to integrate technology. Because if we deliver the lessons online, just like a physical school, it doesn't make any meaning anymore. So that's the reason integration of technology has been pivotal for us. There are a lot of technological advancements that have taken place at the physical level or the hardware level. But I think students and teachers have been given ample opportunity to integrate and be world ready in presenting themselves through digital media.
Sure. So I think each of the speakers have highlighted that how are they looking at the next 1 year in terms of adoption of technological tools. And let me request for the last round of the question, which is that how does teaching tech skills to young generation help tackle our current global problems such as climate change or social inequalities? So let me request Arogya ji to start with on this topic.
Well, yeah, I think it would be the continuation of what I spoke. Now, there are 17 SDG goals that we all know. For example, using digital media, if my students could make a storyboard, a scripting, and then they present to the whole world, it reaches the whole globe. So those are examples of digital technology, how we can integrate to develop the SDGs. Use of gaming, for example. Recently also we had a real world challenge where our students participated. Using the 3D design as well as the gaming skills, they developed an app which would help the visually impaired students as well as dyslexic students. Now that stands again with the SDG goal of quality education for all. Now, whether it is gender equality, the SDG goal that we have, I think using these apps, the students have made enormous things, be it the IoT of things that they develop. So there are opportunities for us to embed the learning with the SDGs and different apps, different skills that they can do it. Like, for example, Dr. Hina spoke about the different clubs that they have in their schools. And that is the outreach for students, where they can actually exhibit their talents, their giftedness, and be part of the school, where the teachers, the management, and the leadership is also part of their growth. Now, as Nitishji presented, tech with a purpose, I think that is a right apt term that we should, because children are being exposed to a lot of technology. There should be a purpose for it. And the purpose is, I think, lining all our STEAM programs or STREAM or STEM, whatever you call it. Each school calls it with the different names. But ultimately, the bottom line is developing their competencies and skills so that they are future ready. Now, as they said, Nitishji again said that McKinsey report says that there would be 60% of the jobs obsolete. Yes, right. But we also need to understand that the curriculum cannot teach anymore about the hard device of using a mouse or a printer or anything, because that is obsolete anywhere already. Because they are more exposed to AR, VR, and gaming. So we don't teach anymore in the school these concepts anymore. I'm sure everybody understands it. Okay. And if you look at the World Economic Forum, they say that by 2025, 80% million jobs will be obsolete. They would not exist what they exist today. And there would be 97 new roles coming up, 97 new professions coming into the foray. And they say that every 1 in 2 individuals have to develop their skill set. So I think the world is at a fast and advancement is very high. But I think every school should prepare those students, because if 2025 is expecting so much, the students who pass out now, this year, for example, grade 12, who might get a certificate without even an exam, okay, are going to face that world in 3 years in professional life. So I think schools have a greater role in preparing and establishing the SDGs within the school. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Arogesh. Excellent points. Let me request Rashmi ji to give your views on this.
So I think that to add to the points that have already been spoken, the students' mindsets need to be expanded to incorporate citizenship, which I had mentioned earlier, to understand that the world is overconsumed and that we need to be inventive to change the current scenario. And using technology would be the right way forward. And therefore, to the soft skills of collaboration, to the tech skills, to global thinking, and to personalization, individual learning, choosing the choice and voice of the students. I think that's the way forward, so that students can become proactive future citizens and ensure that the world remains sustainable.
Sure. And let me request Dr. Hina to speak about this. How do we integrate SDGs along with technology? How are you seeing a roadmap? The Hina ji, you are on mute actually.
Sorry for that. Yeah, parents are of course expecting the child should not miss out on any technological advancement, and there is an overwhelming response from the parents' side to improve technology communication. And these SDG goals are of course going to be an evolution based of school education, definitely. And there's a great connect which we foresee, and definitely it's going to be integrated into the curriculum further.
Sure. Let me ask Jan that how do you see that why it is important to integrate technology with the SDG goals, and how do you see the opportunities for building more innovations in schools? Jan. Jan, Boris, over to you.
Well, I think it is very important to implement the technologies combined with the knowledge of how they should be used, of how they should be combined, of how they should be integrated in order to make them efficient and useful, and to not continue in the path that we have been on in the last decades, where we were only focusing mainly on profits and not considering social and environmental aspects and effects. And I think only if you combine these three aspects and find the sweet spot between the three of them, you will get the breakthrough innovations and the long-term sustainability that we desperately need.
Sure. And thanks for highlighting this issue of moving from profits to a more sustainable development paradigm. Let me request Nitesh Jain to talk about that. If you have any examples to talk about that, how can students actually work on real life problems in schools?
So, my view is that students will consume what is in front of them. Students will get prepared based on what are we evaluating them on. These are key aspects. If these two aspects are not changed, we will not see an incremental change as we want to see. Like, all the esteemed panelists have shared their views, and they are so pertinent. Now, but how will this happen? We need to actually have an engaging mechanism to undertake this leap into a different era. This is the critical point. We make curriculum without even asking who that curriculum is going to serve. It is going to serve the student. So, but student is supposed to serve humanity, society, industry. Are the views taken on a regular basis? We change our technology every 12 months in industry, right? And the school system still talks of 20 years, 30 years, 40 years old textbook, which are still relevant. Where is the connect here? If this connection is missed, everything is going to fall flat. We will keep discussing, but nothing will happen. So this is personally my view, coming from coming from industry, getting into education, much junior to the panelists here in terms of experience in education. But I see a huge disconnect, and that is what was painful. And that is why we set out on this journey to actually do something about it. And if we all have to address it, then we all have to be a part of this change. We need to make bigger noise, and the policy makers have to engage more with folks who are coming from practical side, and rather than sitting in their offices and chalking out and writing something which will define the future of the next gen. That is not going to work. So that's my view on this on this point, Ravi, if I may just mention something.
Very important point, Nitesh. Thanks for that. And let me ask the last question. That why is application of technology by students one of the most scalable and key driver to the massive global changes in front of us? So let me request Ritesh Dhanak to start this discussion.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi. So before I answer that question, I must actually commend you to for getting two industrialists into this panel. I think that's the key to the previous question that you asked. We need to start bridging the gap between the academia and industries, and that's going to accelerate the way the students move forward. So coming to the current question that we have right now. So, the application of technologies that are going to help our students go forward in terms of how they're going to create a project that they are working on, or how they're going to solve problems of the world is going to be key for every institution going forward. Our vision statement is inspiring children to be positive change makers at Modern. And we changed that just 1 year back, 1.5 years back, with this in mind, that, we are not here to just give them what the curriculum has been designed as. The curriculum needs to take input even from the students. The entire community needs to come together and have the elements of tech, elements of normal curriculum, soft skills, as Rashmi ma'am said, about collaboration and growth mindset. We all need to combine that and move that towards technology integration with curriculum, and that's going to be the key driver in terms of how we move forward with the tech integration in schools.
Sure. Let me take a question from the Q&A box. Meenu Dogra has asked that how can SDG goals brought into classrooms? How can students make authentic connections? How can technology help in facilitating this? If I will request any Hina ji, if you want to address that.
Yeah, actually, where problem-based learning, students must use technology to find solutions, and project and problem-based learning are not new approaches, but technology today has allowed students and educators to tackle real challenges as a part of learning experience. So some students are taking schoolwork a step further by designing tools that would help them and their peers right now. Inventions range from a microchip to help find lost items to a solar powered devices that could pull plastic from the ocean. Like, so that is where educators should align activities to career assessments such as the RAISEC. Now, what is that? Is realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. So that RAISEC assessment of personality types. So such things would help. Knowledge regarding this phenomena. help students to understand and tackle the consequences of global warming, for example, or encourage them to change their behavior and help them to adapt to what is already a global emergency, or in order to teach students of social work how to understand and engage with wicked problems. It can be constructive to gently push the students out of their comfort zones and challenge them. So, by creating solutions on deep learning and artificial intelligence that are able to identify the most vulnerable victim of wicked problems. So, this is from using agriculture devices connected to Internet of Things, like we call it IoT, to gain insight into the crop health, play a major role in eliminating world hunger. Students can be introduced to the new devices which will help them to think and create something new. So, in short, these wicked problems have to do with ethical questions, isn't it? And moral and political as well as professional. So, there are no good or bad solutions, only better or worse. So, somewhere ideation to life processes could be, that strategies, innovative strategies and approaches which would involve the imagination of the students and give life to the ideation for creating the best solutions to the real life world challenges and necessities. So that would be the answer.
Excellent points, Dr. Hina. And let me request Rashmi ji to address another question, that what's your view on EdTech inclusion in curriculum and classroom? I think uh, uh, Mr. Arogya Reddy just mentioned that we uh, know need to like teach students about many things in technology, since the students are anyway aware about it. So this like the question is about like how do we include it in the curriculum, and there are restrictions by boards regarding how much you can change. So how do you see the way out?
So you can use the curriculum that is provided to you and then enhance your curriculum. Or you can also offer skill-based courses outside the curriculum. You can offer, for example, project-based learning, which is assessed, part of your assessment, also which is integrated into the curriculum. So schools can do many things because one has to be part of the moment and part of the country that you live in. At the moment, we live in the UAE. So we have to be aware of the needs and of this place where innovation is very important, and technology as well. It's part of their goals, vision and goals for 2021 and 2071. And I think eventually, I mean, my last word on this topic is basically that we need sincere and passionate human intention to harness rapid and efficient machines like technology to deliver the solutions. Because what the wheel was to primitive man, what electricity was to the 18th century, technology is today and for the future. And eventually, big data, AI, etc., will find the solution to supplying food for everybody, clean water, clean fuel, managing disease, etc., without consuming our planet. Technology will be able to identify and destroy deadly pathogens proactively before they begin to wreak havoc. It is our best tool as long as we play our role with innovation, social service, and equity. And students have to learn to deeply understand the digital environment. And anyway, they like to, because they are digital natives. And they will have to intuitively adapt to new contexts and co-create new content with others. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashmiji. Great inputs and points, and you have so aptly described that how is this integration with IT and technology so much important. Like once upon a time, it was electricity. We are at the end of this session, and let me request each of the speakers to give your concluding remarks about how do you see that technology integration in the classroom will happen. And this concluding remarks, I will request each of the speakers to have maximum in 2 lines to 3 lines max. And let me request first of all uh, Mr. Arogya Reddy to give your remarks.
Well, sir, if you ask me about the technology, I think what is important for us is to develop integrating technology. We also need to develop computational thinking, algorithmic thinking, and we need to put the end in mind, because those students are given the opportunity to handle machines and machine languages. But I think humanity is at the forefront. And if students can be empathetic and humane in their approach using these logic and the thinking, I think technology is definitely a boon, and that is the way forward for all of us and for every school.
Fantastic. Let me request Ritesh Dhanak to give your concluding remarks.
I think EdTech has been around for ages, and obviously it has accelerated over the last 1.5 years. But what I would like to highlight on is that, people talk about EQ, IQ, etc. I think we need to look at developing adaptability quotient of our students and teachers going forward. Technology is not going away anywhere, but how they're going to adapt to the change and learn from each other is going to be the key to future of education. AI is not going to just take away your jobs. It's going to give you more time to do better things. That's what my thinking is. Robotics is not going to replace anybody. It's just going to do something different. So we all have better time with our students. So technology is positive, and we need to have the exponential mindset to adapt to that integration into our classrooms.
Sure. Excellent points, Ritesh. And let me request Mr. Jan Boris to give your concluding remarks.
I think technology will continue to play a vital role in the overall advancement of humanity. I think the technologies which are embarking right now and which are developing in the near future have become much more powerful. They can be used either for a lot better than or a lot worse than previous technologies. They are much stronger. They are much more impactful, and for that reason, I think the addition to the skill for the students and for the educational system is to teach this responsibility and to teach the understanding of how to use and how to integrate these technologies.
Excellent points, Jan. And let me request Dr. Hina to give your concluding remarks, please.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi Gupta from Digital Learnings and Be Singular for this beautiful brainstorming session. And my concluding remark would be that change is inevitable in life. You can either resist it and potentially get run over by it, or you can choose to cooperate and adapt it. So better to choose later. Thank you.
Fantastic. Let me request Nitesh Jain to give your concluding remarks, please.
Thanks, Ravi, and very pertinent point from all the panelists. I just have a little different view, just to support what they said. Each of them mentioned that something has to, be taught, and they discussed in different, questions. I think it's very, very critical to relook at what is being taught and put it in 3 buckets: mandatory, good to know, not required. When you push this not required out, all these elements which everybody has spoken today will be inside the curriculum, and we'll see a completely different student coming out of the school. So that's my concluding remark. If we can all work and see what and how we can create space for what we all wish the students to be taught, we will see a different breed of students coming out and different effect on it. Whether it's industry or humanity, wherever they go, they'll actually play a good role. So that's what I want to say.
Fantastic. I think it's a great way to see what is mandatory, what is good to know, and what we can eliminate itself, so that we can focus on something important. So requesting Rashmi ji to give a concluding remarks, please.
First of all, I've really enjoyed this discussion. And I agree with Nitesh that when we are integrating and we are taking on new things, we have to discard a few things also. This is true. Again, I will just repeat that citizenship and skills and technology, and then the force is with mankind.
Fantastic. Great. I love this. So I think this focus about citizenship is very, very critical. And I think that forms the bigger goal, and technology is like just a part of like reaching that goal. So thanks for highlighting this, Rashmiji. And let me thank all our eminent panelists for joining this very, very enlightening session. I have like learned so much in last 1 hour. And let me request the person who actually motivated us to organize this, Nitesh, to give the last word of this session. Yeah, Nitesh, over to you.
Ravi, nothing to add. I think what prompted us to actually work together with you on this was that I see personally a huge disconnect between what parents think, what educators think, what industry thinks, and what other stakeholders think. And I thought learning from educators so eminent as this panel has, to understand what their thought process is, will only help the society to get better. And I cannot thank you and your team enough to put this together. And thank you all for sparing your time and sharing very, very important views. And if we can all work together as a community, I think we can all serve the students who are coming to us, spending their time and energy to give a better deliverable. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And let me remind each of the speakers and delegates who have attended this Zoom session that this session has also been live on our Facebook handle of ALETS and Digital Learning. And may I request each of you to please like and share it, because this has been, I think, super session and so much learning, so much knowledge flowing in it. And if we like, we can spread these ideas, this will help so many other teachers and administrators and principals and directors of schools, not only in your own country, but across the world. So thank you for your support. I am Ravi Gupta, CEO of ALETS and editor of Digital Learning Magazine, logging off here, and thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Jan, for joining from Germany. Thank you, Hina ji. Thank you, Arogya ji. Thank you, Rashmi. And thank you, Nitesh.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaskar.
Bye.